Welcome to Monkey Chatter. Monkey Chatter is a podcast by three great friends who have different perspectives on all things wellness. So let's jump right into today's topic.
Hey everyone, welcome to Monkey Chatter. This is Lara, and I'm here today with Michelle. Amy is taking a little break. She had a lot going on and wasn't able to make our recording, and she's either going to catch up with us later or she'll put her 2 cents in when on social media when we post the information. But so today we are delving into something that is all over everywhere, all on the news, all the talk shows, all over social media. And I like to call it menopause is having a moment. So we all know menopause is having a moment.
Mm.
And what spurred this topic was actually a social media, I guess sensation is a good word for her. Her name is Melanie Sanders, and she started something called the We Do Not Care Club. Um, and it basically is this whole diatribe that she does about menopause, it's perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause, and how at some point you just come to terms with all the things that are happening in your body and your life, and you just say, I just don't care. And she delivers it in this big, like super deadpan way. She takes her little list and her highlighter, yellow highlighter. My favorite thing is she'll bite the cap off of the highlighter and she'll spit it out to the side and just be like, all right, let's call this meeting of the We Do Not Care Club to order. And, she'll just say the funniest things like, if, your t-shirt is in the dryer for 3 days and it's wrinkly, we do not care. You know how to use an iron. So like that's her whole stick. But so we thought we'd talk a little bit about like why this is resonating with so many people. She has 1.8 million followers as of right this second when I'm looking at her on Instagram. That doesn't include any of the other platforms she's on. She's being featured on talk shows. Pretty much anybody of a certain age, anywhere between 40 and 70, is going to know if you say that We Do Not Care Club. So we thought we'd talk a little bit about that. And maybe we'll just jump on the bandwagon and talk about the stuff we don't care about anymore either. Like wearing makeup and carrying a t-shirt is three sizes too big. And I actually did go out in public like this today. I just don't care.
I think that is one of the things that I really have noticed over the last few years, well, even before, um, but how I used to really, really care about what I looked like when I walked out of the house. And and got to a point before my mom passed away, every once in a while she would look at me and be like, "Are you gonna go out like that?" Before she was always like, "Oh my god, you're taking forever to get ready. Let's go, let's go." And I knew that something had changed the first time she said that to me. But yeah, I just don't care. Like if I'm on a ride that day, like I used to bring clothes with me and all of that. No, now I just dress in whatever I'm gonna wear to ride. I'll have my crazy socks on with, sneakers sometimes, paddock boots sometimes, a hat, it just really, and then go to the grocery store right after. I
Yeah.
don't change or
Yeah.
anything. Like I just don't have the energy to be changing my wardrobe. So I think
Absolutely.
that is one of it for sure. Like some things you just have to let go. I think you just get too tired and too exhausted.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that is a big part of it. And that's why on the same lines, I always find myself like, if I did have to get dressed and go out and be presentable for work or for a meeting or a lunch, whatever, then I don't want to go straight home because I'm like, wait, I'm actually dressed. My hair is done. I have a little bit of makeup on. Like, where can I take myself? I need to put this out in the world.
There's so many things that are like, we could certainly talk about the things that are not super fun, but there are so many things that are kind of so freeing about that. Like, and I know it's not the same for everybody, but when I started being able to really go out to eat alone would like and enjoy it, like want to do it. like
Yeah.
oh, I get to go, I don't have to talk to anybody, can order whatever I want, I can read a book if I want, I can, scroll mindlessly if I want, and so I really started to enjoy that, like, and lose some of that. Like, I don't care if people think, oh, look at that poor lonely old lady sitting by herself. Trust me, I'm fine. Do not need any help. I'm all good. Just don't feel bad for me because I am living my best life right there in that booth by myself with 15 seconds of no other people. Right. So that's I think for me, that's been one of the really freeing things about getting a little older. I don't know if, you can't really tie that directly to menopause or anything, but definitely as you get older and more comfortable in your skin and less concerned about what other people think about you is really helpful.
No, I agree. I love that we're actually looking at the positives of this because, everybody's talking about all the things that menopause is, causing. Like, we're all hearing about that. It's on the news, like we said, and it's all over social media, especially. I just actually completed a yoga teacher training course for menopause-informed yoga teacher training. I mean, believe it or not, I learned a lot. It was a great course. And but I feel like so many people focus on just the negative aspects of it. And, some of those used to be just attributed to old age, like you get the aches and pains and, and then you get the extra weight around the middle. And, now, at least now, there's a little bit more of science and study involved, and that they're finding out some of it's diet related. We talked about gut health the last two episodes. A lot is coming out that could be good, especially for the future generations. It might be too late for us, but oh
I
well.
think, yeah, that is a sad thing. But you shared with me one of the things from that course, which I think it had to do with how sort of menopause brain or older brains have a little more trouble figuring out like cross body things. Can you
Yeah.
share that here? I thought that was
Yeah,
helpful.
absolutely. So I loved the course. It was actually taught by a wonderful local teacher named Lisa King. It was held at Barefoot Works Yoga Studio in Lexington, Kentucky. So shout out to both of them. Um, but yeah, we talked about how as you get older, you want to keep your neurons firing, and we fall into habits, especially like right brain, left brain kind of thing. And so one thing we learned about was getting more in tune with the positioning of the body. So let's say like left hand is up, right hand is down, and you're twisting. You might want to do that the opposite way multiple times, and you may want to cross over. So, for example, like if you're doing there's a pose called triangle trikonasana, where you're basically, legs
Can you
spread
say that
apart,
again
like a triangle.
slowly? Say that again.
Yeah, it's a pose called triangle trikonasana, and
Trikonasana. Okay.
yeah, and you have your arms out. Just for people who don't know, it's kind of like you're in a triangle pose, but then one hip kind of goes out to one side, and you are very parallel. So if you were against a wall, you could almost be flat against the wall, and then you reach down with one leg. So there's something called revolved triangle where you twist that movement. And so if your left hand is down and your left leg is forward, that's the normal pose. And then if you come back up and do the opposite, your right hand slides down
Your
your
left
right
leg.
leg,
Oh,
and
you're
then you're
right.
in a twist. So that's
Okay.
kind of an example. But just adding more of those like little complexities to get the brain firing and to continue, letting the neurons make those connections. They talk about, in general, just brain fog happening, and that can help clear that away. And also with brain fog, you need more time. You need more transition time. So let's say you're at work all day, or maybe you're babysitting grandkids all day, and then you come to yoga class at 6 o'clock or whatever. You can't just like sit for 3 minutes and get yourself in yoga mode, it might take 10. So there's a lot more warm up involved. There's a lot more calming the mind and
Mm.
letting the thoughts, kind of dissipate and go their way. So that was another kind of interesting thing that I never had really thought about, but I've experienced for sure.
So, few thoughts about that. So the first one is going back to the We Do Not Care Club.
Yeah.
Um, in full confession, I'm not on Instagram, I'm not on TikTok, so I had to like Google around to find the We Do Not Care Club and look at YouTube clips and all of that. But one of the ones that she said, and she is funny, let me tell you, these are really
It's
funny.
really funny.
I mean, yeah. So, but one of the things she said, and I almost like spit out what I was drinking when I when I heard it. She was saying, if you see us sitting in our car in a parking lot, do not approach. Like, we are taking a moment or something like that. Nothing is wrong. I forget her phraseology, but I could so relate because over like through menopause, like I would find myself, and you talk about that transition time when you're going from like work to home. I
Yeah.
wonder how many women pull into a parking lot somewhere and just sit there, or they go, they go through a Starbucks or a Dunkin' Donuts or something and grab a drink just for an excuse to like pull over, drink their coffee in a like I can't even tell you. I still do it where I will sit in a parking lot and just be like, okay, like, and you pull yourself together. So that's the first thing, is that transition time. I really think as you're going through menopause or when you're feeling, because for me anyway, I felt so, it was so foreign, like I couldn't figure out what in the world was happening to me. So there's a little bit of that fear-based, like, am I losing my mind, what is wrong with me? And I think honestly, like, pull over, sit in a parking lot, collect your thoughts. You're not going crazy. You just need to take a few deep breaths, center yourself, right?
Yeah.
And, and be like, okay, it's okay. I'm going to be fine. But that brain fog thing is for real. And then my second thought I wanted to say, I took that info, Lara, and I mentioned it to the young woman who I go to for personal training. And I said, look, because I have so much trouble, like she'll show me how to do something and like I can do it really well on one side, usually my right side, right? And then I move it over to the left side. Oh my God. I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
this way. And so we had a conversation about it. I said, listen, this might be helpful because she's got a number of clients that are a little older like me. And I said, so we are not being difficult. It is not that we're not paying attention. Like literally from, and it made me think about the horses too. They talk about that. Like when you show a horse something on one side, you
Oh,
can't
yeah.
assume they've figured it out on the other. And I'm like, oh, I'm just, reverting back to some sort of weird animal thing. Like you have to show me on both sides and sometimes more than once. So
Yeah.
she really appreciated that info. So thanks for
Oh,
sharing.
that's
That
good.
really helped me. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, the other thing is like a lot of people are starting to experience this, as early as, their early 40s when they're in perimenopause, is really when it starts. And, without getting into all the hormonal changes, because Lord knows that's a lot of science, but it's not just about estrogen either. There's progesterone and testosterone involved, and there's so many changes going on. And then I think one thing that we talked about too was how people are really funny about hormone replacement therapy, but now it's starting to loosen up a little
Yeah.
because there were some flawed studies that now they're seeing that those studies were flawed, and it doesn't cause some of the problems that they thought it did. And so now they're a little bit more lenient, or whatever you want to call it, a little bit more open
Open.
to giving people the treatment that they need.
Yeah.
And then some people don't struggle as much, and that's somewhat hereditary. I think it could be dietary. It's also true that if you are doing a regular practice of some kind when you're going through these things,
Mm.
it can definitely help you transition. I think yoga does really help. being, anything that's keeping you
Mm,
busy and moving is
yeah.
going to help. But I think that some of the things that are, more positive of like when you're going through all this is that, you can kind of just say like, I don't care. Like we do not care. We do not care if, and like you said, I used to be able to go out and they used to joke about it in the office I worked in because I could go out on my lunch hour and get more done on my lunch hour than most of those people got done in their whole day. And now I'll be like, I'll get in the car and I'll have this whole list of stuff in my head, but I can't, it's like I can't connect the dots to be efficient like I used to. And I'll find myself driving, like I'm going to the bank and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I should have gone to Trader Joe's first because
Yeah.
that's actually on that side of town. But like in the old days, my brain could just do that without me even writing it down or thinking about it. Now, and not only do I have like a bullet point list
Right?
phone, but I really should have mapped it out because that's when I need to pull over. Sit in the bank parking lot. There's me checking off my list and going, okay, now what side of town is this on? Okay, this one's here. I'm going to do this first. And I mean, it's just ridiculous.
I think, such I'm so glad you brought that up because most of the women I know, and maybe it's just because of, the jobs that we did, or I don't know. It's even there, women just, I think, because of the way our lives are traditionally, and I'm talking this culture and our, this specific set of circumstances. But
Hmm.
when we were sort of going through this whole idea of being able to multitask as a superpower, like this was a great
Yes,
thing, like you really wanted to do it. Like, can you like brush your teeth, make breakfast and fold the laundry at the same time? Well, you are
exactly.
awesome,
It was a
right?
badge of honor to be a
Right?
huge multitasker.
And so I think those of us that were able to do that, like that was a thing that we prided ourselves on and did really well, because I think I was like you, Lara. I was pretty good at that,
Me
and
too.
remembered people's birthdays, wrote cards every day. Like I really had a program going. I think it's even harder on those people because you really feel like you're broken. You
Yeah.
really feel like something has gone horribly wrong when you can't even remember why you pulled out your driveway. And it's like,
Yes.
"Where am I going?" You
Yeah,
know?
and I literally will say that to myself. I'll be like, "Where am I going?" And then I
Yeah,
have to really stop and think, and then I'm like, "Okay, no, this is really what I should be doing." And sometimes it's almost I can see why it can be such a big problem because it's almost paralyzing.
it
Because
is.
suddenly you think like, "Okay, I can't do this. This is not, efficient," or, "I can't drive all the way over there and then come back here, and I'm just not going to do that. I'm not going to do that
Yep,
today."
yep,
And that may be another thing we just need to let go of and say, maybe you don't have to do it all today.
yeah.
Like I actually did that today. I had this whole plan and I did get a little turnaround in my head. But I got my walk in, I got to the store, I got all these things done I needed to do. And then in the end, the last thing I was going to do, and I realized I just didn't really have the time.
Yep.
And I was like, you know what? I'm just not
That's
going to do
okay.
that. I'm going to give myself some grace and go tomorrow and
Yeah.
finish that last thing tomorrow.
I think
And it was
that's
like so
something,
freeing. And I took
right?
a nap. I actually took a nap because I
Yay!
had free time.
That's
I know.
liberation right there. I think that's one of the things too, and I try to, from sort of the coaching side, right? And I should probably take my own advice sometimes, most of the time. But we forget that we, for the most part, now it's still, jobs have their own little, that's a whole other conversation, but life in general, we are the ones who set the expectations for ourselves, right? So that's something like, so when we take, or like, okay, well, I ran out of time. So
Yeah.
if our expectation is that we're supposed to be doing all those things and then we feel like we failed, that's a different story than um dang, I got, if your expectation is if I get out of bed and manage to get dressed and get to where I'm supposed to be on time, like that is, I have hit it out of the park. This other stuff, like you put the one thing on your list. And so I think that's something that I definitely could be, because there are some days I will get done and be like, "Oh my god, I didn't get anything done really that I needed to get done." And but then I look at the list of things that got done. Well, how
Yeah.
was I expecting to be able to do all that and all this other stuff? Like, there just is not enough time in a day. And so the reason you didn't get it done is because it's impossible to get that done. Like
Yeah.
that is not possible. And I say that to a lot of women in my life. Like when they're like, "Oh my god," I'll be like, the reason it feels impossible is because it is
It
literally
is.
impossible. Like,
Yeah.
you could not, or somehow we're supposed to have this superpower that we're supposed to be able to anticipate. Like, oh, I hear this all the time. Oh, I should have known that that was gonna, or I'm like, oh my God, why? Like, you have like,
Yes.
you're clairvoyant today, so that would be super, but you're not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very true. And how many times have we all said, I should have known, or I should, yeah,
Ugh,
that's so true.
yeah.
And also I think, as we age and as we go through these,
Mhm.
hormonal changes,
Yeah.
physical changes, brain changes, I
Ugh.
mean, cortisol does a number on your body, and
Mhm.
that we know happens more in menopause.
Mhm.
And not only are you more forgetful, um, but then you're reorganizing. Your brain isn't organizing things the same way it used to. And then, like you said, Michelle, we have that expectation, like we're in our 20s and 30s, where
Right.
yeah, maybe we could
Got it,
zoom
got it,
around
got it,
the
got it.
city
Yeah,
and
yeah,
get 50
yeah,
things done in a day.
yeah.
But instead of making unrealistic lists and expectations for ourselves, maybe like just have a running list and be like, okay, what do I want to tackle today? Like these are all things that need to get done within a week, not a
Yeah,
day.
I have started, and again, I'm a serious work in progress because, man, holy God, quite a disaster most days. But I really do try, like if there are things and I'm like, "Oh, I am not getting to these things," I will really try and be like, "What is the one thing?" Like, I just have to do this one thing, and then you know what? Everything else is like a bonus point. If I get this done, I I'm good for the day. And and sometimes that is really helpful and other times not, but at least at least I get that one thing done usually,
Yes.
if
That's
it
such
yeah,
a good tactic. I mean, that's a perfect example of, kind of improvising, doing the best you can with what you have, and
yep,
saying like, okay, here's the one thing that absolutely cannot get lost today. Like I have to do this one thing. And then, we all have other things on our to-do list at
yep,
any given moment. There's probably a running tally, but this is the one thing and I'll get this one thing done. And then sometimes you get the one thing done and you are motivated to do a couple more.
yeah,
And if you're not, you're not. It's
right.
no big deal because you
But you
accomplished
did the one
what you might
thing.
as well do.
You're like, "I am," I get a prize because I did the one thing.
Exactly. No, I love that.
Yeah.
You see, I feel like that's an actual actionable menopause tip right there.
You
Pick
know,
the one thing.
I had asked my mom because, just of the situation, like when my dad got hurt and she had these 3 small kids under the age of 9, she had no money coming, like, just a
Yeah.
mess, he's in the hospital, there's no money coming in, we had just moved, she's got these 3 small kids, like, her
Oh
life is just.
gosh.
And so we had talked about it when she was older, and I was like, "Mom, God," 'cause, as you get older, you can really appreciate things that your parents or grandparents or whatever did that, you at the time, you're like, "Ugh, geez, ugh, of course you're not."
So true.
But I remember asking her, like, "How did you even do that? Like, how did you get up in the morning and get us fed and dressed and off to school and, like, how did that happen?" And she said, when it got really bad, other than, you know, like the spiritual part of things, but the practical, she said she worked in like 10-inch increments. She's like,
Hmm.
I would take a 10-inch by 10-inch square and I would just do whatever was in front of me. She's like, that was it. She goes, my whole life got lived in these little 10-inch by 10-inch squares. Like I would clean just that much. I
That
would,
one little area.
yep. If I was fixing dinner, I was just focused on that little 10-inch space. If I was dealing with you, I was looking at your little 10-inch face. And I
Oh,
so I thought that was really I would never have, like, that isn't the way I think about things, but I thought it was interesting that she for her it was very spatial. Like what is
yeah.
physically,
What is
you know?
physically in her line
Yeah,
of vision, but it's
yeah,
also really a way to make the big tasks
yeah,
digestible.
yeah.
It's
Eating
like
the
what
elephant one bite at a time, right?
yes, you're breaking it down into these small, and also in that way, she was able to focus and give you her full attention too,
Yeah.
which is also really hard for parents to do, I think, especially with multiple children of them when they're young. So I love her method. That was
I just
probably
thought
just
that was so, just I was like, "Oh." I would never
yeah,
have thought of that, right?
no, but she
Yeah.
had to survive, and so that was her way to come, that's how she dealt with it. It's
I
so
just
interesting.
noticed that's how she dealt with, like, things that would come up around the house, like when, because my dad passed away young, and so she was pretty young trying to take care of, her home and everything, and she said she would do the same thing, like, when, like, the porch need to be painted or something. She's like, "I would do
Mm.
it in little 10-inch squares." Like, I would be like,
Oh,
"Oh, today I'm gonna do this little 10-inch square," I'll work on this part of the yard, and maybe I'll get to a 20 by 20 and maybe it'll become a 30
oh
by
my gosh.
30.
I'll have to remember
Yeah.
that next time I need to clean because that's something that I can get overwhelmed by easily if I
Oh
don't.
god, me too.
Usually I'm pretty neat, but if I let things pile up or get a little distracting, I it's very overwhelming and I feel like that's another thing as I get older, I
Mhm.
cannot let that stuff go
Yeah.
because it really drags me down. I don't know why that's changed, but I guess just my brain looks at it and sees the elephant and doesn't see the 10
Overwhelmed.
square.
Yes. Oh my gosh, me too. And one of the phrases that, and I forget where this came from. Maybe Sparketypes or something. But
Mm.
one of my worst things, and it's interesting because I didn't take this, you take these like quizzes or whatever to find out what you are, or how,
Oh, yes.
yeah. So I didn't take this until after I was sort of, dealing with like menopause. But um, one of my worst things, because you have like your superpowers that you're super great at, but then you have like your anti whatever. And mine was I just am not good at creating order out of chaos. That is
Mm,
not one of the,
interesting.
and it's too bad Amy's not on here. Amy, shout out to you, because Amy, that is one of her superpowers. Like,
Absolutely.
she can create order out of chaos like nobody's business. You give her a
Yeah.
bunch of data or give her a bunch of things or a big problem, like she can dig right in and, get right down to the nuts and bolts and put it all in a spreadsheet. And I just look at it in a kind of like you said, Lara, I look at it and I'm so overwhelmed that I just tend to walk away and it just stays there for days. Yeah.
Yeah. But you're right. Amy is the type that she sees that and it's a
And she likes
challenge,
it.
but it's like a good challenge. Yeah. It's like
Yeah,
an inspiration to her. So I'm gonna
I
fix it.
know.
Yeah.
I'm always just so blown away by that because it's so foreign to me. I
Yeah.
can't even
I
imagine
know
what that
it
feels
feels
like.
very overwhelming to me, even thinking
Mhm.
about like tackling something like that. And that's another thing. And I guess this is also part of post menopause, because I think
Mm.
you and I are both post
Yeah.
menopausal, but um where I just like I don't feel the need to completely challenge myself as much as I used to.
Mm.
I don't know how to explain that really, but like, before I would see something like that and even though it would be overwhelming, it would be like, well, this is a challenge, like I can take this on. Now, I'm like, what? I don't need to challenge myself. What am I doing? I've done already I've done plenty. What do
It's
I
just
need to challenge for?
Oh my gosh. I just had lunch with a friend who is probably in her early 60s, and we were talking about like starting a new job or whatever. And she's like, I I don't want to like dig in and learn a whole new thing. Like I've been doing this for decades. Like do I really have to go like when 20, 40 years ago you're like, yeah, this will be great.
Yeah.
I'll learn all this cool new stuff and you're really excited and now it's like, really? Like
Yeah.
unless I really 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 want to know about something, I just it is a lot. I guess harder is the right word. It's just a lot more challenging to get yourself to choose to do that.
Yeah, and it has to be, I
Yeah.
feel like if it's something you're passionate about, it's fine. Like,
Different.
like,
Yes.
yeah,
Right?
I
Yeah.
I would love to do more trainings. Like
Yeah.
doesn't permit me to do as many as I would
Yeah.
love to do, but I would love to keep doing trainings all the time.
Yeah.
When I did open the salt cave, it was a big challenge. There were some days where I
Yeah.
said, why am I
What
doing
am I
this?
doing?
Not because I didn't want to do it or that I knew it was the right thing to do, but
Mm,
because it was hard. And I
hard.
was like, I had it pretty cushy before.
Yeah.
Like I was
I
burned
knew what
out.
I was doing. Yeah.
Yeah, I was mentally burned out and I
Yeah.
didn't want to continue doing that. But as far as just like you said, I knew what I was doing. There
Yeah.
was nothing new to learn
No.
and it wasn't challenging in that
Right.
sense. And so that's kind of interesting because then, what I did take on was challenging. But I am like you. Like I was excited to learn all about, the stuff that I do and the stuff
Yep.
that I'm passionate about.
You're
But
interested in. Yeah.
I went to take an Italian class recently, and
Didn't
let
do
me
it.
tell you, I yeah, I mean actually we have one more class, but I love the teacher and the people in it are great. And I did Babbel on my phone first and tried
Yep.
that and it just will not stick.
Isn't that such a it's such a
I would
mm,
literally have to sit down with flashcards and have someone quiz me for hours and hours and hours for me, I think, to remember. Like I
yeah.
have maybe two phrases that I can say. And
And maybe part of it is,
that's horrible. I should know more than that. I should be able to order. I
and
think I could order coffee.
what might be interesting, Lara, because I know you're going to Italy, right, soon?
Yeah, that's why I took the class. I didn't
Yeah.
do it for my own edification.
So maybe what it'll be interesting to see if once you get there and people are like speaking Italian around you, how much of that, like if you actually like
Yeah, I'm
recognize,
I'm hoping that the class will have, I'll get there and like you said, I'll recognize more than I think
yeah,
I will.
yeah. It's
I
kind of
think
good that
maybe
you did it and now you're going there because that might actually help, solidify some of it in your head and you'll have it.
yeah.
Yeah, I do regret like um my family is French Canadian and my grandparents spoke French more than they spoke
Mm,
English. And so like when they would all get together and the relatives and like my mom would speak French to her mom and dad and so you hear it as a kid and you pick up, the swear words and all that stuff, but you
yeah.
don't really pick up, and so I was like, I'm gonna learn French, and this is a while ago. And I really tried. The one thing that was helpful is the accents because I had heard them as a kid, I think,
Oh, yeah.
were easy, but actually like doing it and yeah, I was like, "You know what? I don't really need to do this." Like, and I think I'm good. Yeah. But the
That's
things
like,
that you're interested in, that's
yeah.
different. Yeah. Yeah.
And I was interested because I was going to Italy, not because I just want to learn the language.
Yeah.
And I think
Right,
that's the
right.
problem.
But it wasn't enough, right? Like,
It
so the
wasn't enough.
why, I feel like Simon Sinek, right? Or I forget how to say his name. The why guy, but it's not a strong enough why. It's not like you're moving there. Like maybe if you were
Right.
moving there, like, yeah.
That's a really good point. Like if there's a strong enough why, then the motivation is going to be there. But I feel like it's like anything, and I jokingly say learning a language after 50 is like, forget it, right? But
Yeah.
50 is just the magic number, but it could be,
Right.
whatever, but I do wonder sometimes if it's partly like all these hormonal changes that,
Yeah.
when you're 40s, you're having all the kind of crazy stuff. Some people get the hot flashes. I was lucky. I never had those.
I had
Um,
enough for both of us. No worries.
and I have friends that had terrible ones. Like we could be sitting at dinner and I'd look over and
Ugh.
no, I knew it. I'm like, she's having a
Oh,
hot
yeah,
flash.
you could tell. Yeah.
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 And you know what? Like look up if you guys are dealing with that who are listening, definitely there are some yoga stuff you can do to help. Look up cooling breath. There's a really great breath called the cooling breath. If you're having a hot flash, you can do it. Nobody will even know you're doing it.
Well, that's cool.
But yeah, there's some things you can do. But
I got
it's
some really great pajamas. Like, they make pajamas for,
oh,
like, hot
for
flashes.
people
I
who
have
get
to
them
say,
tonight.
they were a little expensive, but, they really were awesome. I wish I could remember the name of them because they really, I bought
Cooling
2.
menopause pajamas.
Yes, they were really good. When you're flinging everything off and you don't really wanna change all your clothes and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I
Anyway, there are
feel
things.
so do you feel like in your personal experience, like what was the worst part of, going through all those transitions and continuing to go through them? Like, was there one thing that stands out, like the hot flashes?
Um, the thing that was hardest was, truthfully, was just feeling like I had lost my mind
Mm,
and really feeling like there wasn't an end in sight, and, like, just having the thought, like, if this is what it's gonna be like, how do I not? How do I make this not happen? Um, so that was definitely the worst of the worst for me was, we were talking about the being able to multitask and all of that.
yeah,
I was so dependent on that as sort of my definition of who I was. And when I couldn't do that anymore and like I really thought I was losing my mind. I was like I don't know what's happening. And I will say, like, find yourself a good doctor because part of my problem was I couldn't get any relief from my physicians that,
yeah.
I was asking for help from. And this was another time, right? Because I'm in my 60s. So this was all happening in my 40s, in
Hmm.
my, mid to late 40s. So that's a long time ago, probably 20 years ago. It's a very different scenario.
Yeah.
And but at that time they were like kind of like, suck it up, you'll get through it, you know?
Yeah, and you're right. And that was still like, and I'm a little bit younger than you, but I still was going through some of that, before they were saying, only people who have really severe
Yep.
symptoms should be taking HRT.
Yeah.
And, not that's just not the case anymore. But I, I remember just a little bit in the menopause teacher training too, the list of symptoms associated is just mind-boggling.
Ginormous.
It's
Yeah,
crazy. It's just
it is.
crazy. And these are symptoms that, mind you, might sound like other diseases, but they've
Yes.
been ruled out. So none of those
Yeah.
other diseases exist. But just the brain alone, like, we already talked about the brain fog. Um, and I guess because estrogen is somehow it affects the brain's receptors. I think that's the mechanism. And again, don't take my word for this. I'm
Yeah.
not a doctor. Sorry.
We are not, yeah,
Mistake.
we are
We are not
not
doctors.
doctors. Yeah.
But, so mood swings is another big one that people found. They thought they were, what is wrong with me? Like I'm going
Yeah.
crazy, like you
Yeah.
said. The forgetting things, not being able to concentrate,
Awful.
all these things that were happening, like those I remember not really connecting them to menopause, just like kind of thinking that I was somewhat crazy.
Something, yeah, something's wrong with me, right? And that I think is, you mentioned the cortisol, and the one thing I do want to say, like, I think the We Do Not Care Club is hysterical, and I love the whole like idea behind it. The
Yeah.
one thing that I was a little like, I forget, she said something about like, I had to laugh because this was so me. She said, "We do not care that the third cup of coffee is causing anxiety and that we should be trying to avoid anxiety. We are going to drink the third cup of coffee," or something like that. And I was like, okay, I totally get that. Like, we know the things that we could do to kind of maybe not be quite so reactive or whatever. So the one thing I do want to say is, with regard to sort of the we do not care, the really unfortunate thing is that a lot of the things that are happening to you during menopause, like the cortisol, the, the anxiety, whatever it is, not, and I don't mean this to sound like, "Meh, meh, meh, meh," but not caring about those or not taking action, they are those things, if you do not address them in some way, become real problems when you finally get to the other side. Like, you now have
Yeah.
health issues that were created because we just do not care at the
Yeah.
time,
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, there's a
Right?
fine line, and I'm sure that I've not seen her interviewed, but I wonder, and I'm guessing she probably does address this because honestly, she probably knows that like
Yeah,
all the stuff she says we do not care about. Like, some people do still care about certain things, and
yeah,
they want to keep caring,
yeah,
and not to take away from the humor of it because she is making people
yeah.
laugh, and she's also normalizing the
Yes, yeah,
fact that we're
yeah.
all dealing with this stuff, and instead of freaking out about it, we just don't
Let's
care.
laugh.
But
Yeah.
you're right, like, we also need to care a little
Yeah,
bit about how we are dealing with it.
yeah, how we are
Maybe we don't
caring
need to
for
care
ourselves.
about what we're wearing or the fact
Yeah.
that we haven't brushed our hair all day. We're still
Or our
going,
bra is too small, or yeah,
but
can't
we're not
find
wearing the
clean
bra.
clothes. Yeah. I cannot find an unwrinkled shirt, so here we go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like, that's all good stuff, I think. But at the same time, like, cortisol is a real thing.
Yeah.
Cortisol and stress and
Yeah.
anxiety and all those things left untreated or unattended will make you sick.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like turning to things that make you happy, like, laughter and getting together with your friend. And it's okay to, like, go on about it a little bit, laughing at
Yeah.
the We Do Not Care Club, and,
Yeah.
doing some things that bring you some joy,
Yes.
find more joy, do
Yeah.
yoga, move your body. That's all good too. But I feel like moving your body at what price? Like, if you hate it, if it causes you anxiety because you have to get up early and go to the gym, is that really
Oh.
helping?
I don't know. Some people would say yes. I don't
Yeah, I
know.
know.
Like, and it
Amy
is,
would say yes.
yes, and it is all, um, it is really hard when you're in it
Yeah.
to think about, for some people, that you're ever gonna be out of it. And honestly, that third piece of pie with a little extra whipped cream is just looking like what you need for the relief in the moment. Because I don't care if I'm gaining weight, right? But the
Right.
reality is, man, that stuff will sneak up on you
Yeah.
and get you when head into your 60s.
Yeah,
Just
and
in my
that's another
experience.
reason to just the whole, we talk about this all the time, especially with Amy. Eat your fruits and vegetables.
Yes, right?
Honestly, they combat so many things. And now my goal is eat 30 of them every week, which is
Yeah, that's been good,
hard.
Lara.
It was
Yeah.
the first week I did it, I was just like gung ho, and it wasn't that hard. But the second
It
week,
gets harder.
it
Yeah.
got harder to make it, 30 different ones. Um, but all those, it's more important than ever, I feel like, when you are going through all this stuff,
Yep.
to try to maintain the best you can with this, like putting healthy things in your body
I
and
would say
listening
drink
to
your water. Like,
and
I mean,
your water. Yes.
right? Like, it seems so, like, ridiculous, but, it kind of goes back to if you can do one thing that day. Can
Yes.
you drink your water that day?
Drink
Or
your
can
gallon of
you get
water.
whatever your one thing is that, okay, this is the one thing I can commit to for my health. And
Yeah.
maybe this is it. This is the one thing.
Yeah. Well, and
Even
and
that,
maybe
right?
people are like, oh, there's all these different supplements. There's cortisol manager,
No, no.
this, that. And you know what? Maybe one or two supplements work for you,
Yeah.
but do not, I hope you don't have a whole, like I have a select few that I take. And I
Mm,
worked with an herbalist and a
mm,
nutrition person to come up with what I'm taking. And I'm really selective because if you read all the different things they recommend
right.
to take, it's just it's over the top. It's
Overwhelming.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
That and the eating healthy and definitely some kind of mental health like meditation,
Yeah.
yoga, mindfulness, listening to, podcasts, laughing.
Oh, so
Oh,
complete
and
shiny object, Lara. So
yeah.
I want to let you know, I decided that I was going to add meditation into my thing, right? So,
Yay.
and I had a few days. I was like, I'm going to do so many days, and I
Yeah.
just hit. I'm on a streak. I'm on day 122 of doing
Wow.
meditation every day.
That's amazing. I'm
And sometimes
proud
it's
of
sitting in a
you.
parking lot.
Yes.
Like,
You know what? You can even just do it for 5 minutes.
that's it. That
I'm
Insight
so
Timer
proud of
app,
you.
yay. Yeah. So shout out to everybody. You can get the Insight Timer app. That really does help you stay on track.
Yes. They
Yeah.
don't even sponsor us, but we just love them.
We love them. Yeah, they're great. So thanks. So
Yeah.
that doing this podcast and making that commitment, I forget when I did it, but I really have stuck with that. So
Well, that is,
thank
I
you.
love that. And I do also listen to guided meditations a lot. I'm not like in a position now where I'm like, oh, you have to do it every day just because I think I do it so often.
Yeah.
I probably do it almost every day.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then
your
I also,
whole world is sort of set
yeah,
up
I
to
do a lot of
encourage.
that. I
Yeah.
actually had a really, really wonderful experience last week where we had a private session that was booked by a man for his lady friend,
Mm,
and they had me lead them in some guided meditation in the salt cave, and
mm.
it was so much fun. I did a yoga nidra style because that's my favorite kind of meditation, and it was just lovely. It was so much fun. It was
Mm.
really nice, seeing them. She kind of dozed off. She said she wasn't, but he said, well, you were snoring. Very cute. Um, but anyways, okay. So can we talk for a minute about
Okay.
another couple things that this is what I struggled with the most when I was going through, like in my 40s, somewhat in my 50s as well. And now that I'm getting closer to 60, it's getting better. But the whole sleeplessness thing, the
Ugh.
waking up in the middle of the night and sleep disturbances. Oh my gosh. And I know so many people who struggle with that. And that's a lot of people struggle with that anyways before menopause. And then you throw menopause in the picture and it's like, oh my gosh, like you
That
cannot
pissed
sleep.
me off so much, Lara. I got to tell you, because I was always an awesome sleeper. And that was one of the things I'd be like, seriously, can I not just at least keep my sleep? Like, really, you're
Yep.
gonna, like, all this other stuff is gonna happen, but now I can't sleep? I have always been such a good sleeper.
Yeah.
So, oh, yes.
I'm with you. Like that to me was like just like
It's
the
an
kick in the
insult.
teeth.
Insult to injury, right?
Yeah.
You're just like, you're kidding me.
Like
Yeah.
all this other stuff. And now I'm waking up for no damn good reason at 3 a.m. every
Oh,
day. Yeah.
so
I
miserable.
mean, yeah, that's another one that I had to bring that one in up because that one I don't know that they really know why that's happening other than it's part of the whole brain change thing.
Mm,
And I don't think they really know. And that's the thing about all the brain changes is we still don't know that much about the brain.
because we just don't
Um
do research on women because,
no. And that's
yeah.
the other thing. There's so little research that's 100% focused on women. But we have a past podcast. If you're interested in how important sleep is, go back and
Oh,
listen to it.
and
In
you'll
fact,
be like,
it's a two-parter.
yeah.
I mean, it's it will blow your mind how it's not just important because, oh, we're gonna be tired the next day. No, it affects every part of your health and your life. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, and like people say 6 to 7 hours of sleep is normal. No, a lot of people need 8. Like that's not
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
8 hours is probably much, and some people don't get 6 hours even. I just
Yeah.
can't imagine being able to function. But that was another part of it's getting better now, but I feel like that whole like swath of my
Ugh.
menopause career,
Yeah.
whatever you want to
Right?
call it, was like,
She's like,
that's not fun. Yeah, not
mm,
fun. Um, okay. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about was because we already, everybody knows estrogen drops, and
yeah.
that's the main reason that we feel all these things. But progesterone is another one. Actually, progesterone, I think, can give us like a sense of well-being and make us feel, it's like when you're pregnant, right? That's, you get more of that and you feel more calm, and you, I don't know, there's something about being pregnant where you just feel a little bit more grounded. But probably the progesterone. So that's another thing people are, talking to their doctors about, not just estrogen, but
Right.
having some progesterone and testosterone.
Mm.
Sex drive, hello, like we have to bring that up. Like that's part of the menopause symptoms. And part of that is due to the reduction of testosterone. But the other, probably even more important thing, depending on who you talk to, is bone loss.
Mm.
Muscle mass and bone loss, both. And
Yeah.
muscle mass, we know we're supposed to be lifting. I mean, how many of us have seen the funny memes and the videos and the ladies walking around in the weighted vests, right? Like, I don't know if that's
We
actually
do.
doing any good or if it's
It
just a
is. It is. Yeah. Yeah. I think that again, when I think about the things that piss me off the most, like the fact that yeah, that I missed out on the opportunity to improve my bone health, that I will
Yeah.
pay for. Anyone
Yeah.
who, yeah, you will pay. So definitely, it's never, as Amy would say, it's never too late to start.
That is
And
true. And they have shown that you can still build some
yep,
bone density. Um, I mean, I've gotten much more serious about it lately because, before I felt like, oh yeah, I do the little weights or whatever. No,
yep,
that's not enough. We
no,
talked about this on,
no,
on another podcast.
gotta
With
lift to failure.
menopause,
Yeah,
yeah, you have to list a certain amount, and I think Amy explains it very well.
yeah,
Until so many reps makes you tired, and then you move up when you get past that. But and then pelvic floor health, and that's
yeah.
all tied in with the muscle mass. And I did find improvement with the vibration plate, to be honest.
Oh, right, you were saying that. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
really did. Like that has really helped. That is also supposed to be great for bone density. So there's some things that now they're discovering that like we could be doing that aren't really all that hard. I mean, the
Nope.
vibration plate is actually kind of fun. You just stand there. You stand there and you lift your weights, or you do some twists, or
Yeah,
sometimes I sit on it and I do seated twists
there you
and like
go.
forward bends, and yeah. So I'm hoping that's
How
also
big is
helping
that
my
thing,
bones.
Lara? How big is your
It's
vibration
not
plate?
very big. It's probably like 2 feet wide, and it's like you're trying to show people. You better watch this on YouTube. No, please don't. I would say about two. It's probably about 2 feet wide, maybe 3 feet, and maybe
Okay,
2 feet tall. So yeah, your
got
feet fit on it,
it.
and and you can sit on it. It's enough room for my bum.
I can sit on it. And
And
so you just, yeah,
it's not super tall or heavy. I just plug it in. It came with like support straps so that if you're standing, you don't lose your balance.
fall
I
down.
went a little gung ho in the beginning with the whole squatting and all that, and I think I did start having a little knee pain, but that's
Mhm,
gone away. I've backed off of the overboard
mhm.
squats. Don't want to do those quite
Well,
as
and that's a good
more.
point, like, all this stuff is great, be careful you don't break yourself in the process, 'cause it is a
Yes,
little, that's one of the things as you get a little older, it gets a little longer to rehab, so
that's true. Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. You know what? Here's what it is. We do not care about our hair. We do not care about our clothes. We do
mm-mm,
not care what people really think about us anymore. And that's
that's true.
freeing and it feels
Yeah,
great. But
yeah,
we do care about our health. our
Yeah.
mental and physical health. And so those are the things that we can make a little improvement on, I think,
Yeah.
with some minor changes.
And that's
Or
probably a good spot. That's a good place to wrap it up, I think, today.
yeah, I know. I think so. Oh my gosh, it's almost been an hour.
Yeah.
So
Because
easy
we,
to talk about.
right? Because we do not care about lots of things, but we do care about lots of things. So
Yeah.
it's a balance, right? Always. Yeah.
Yeah, it is
And
a balance. I like that.
yeah. And so, keep laughing. Go follow Melanie Sanders and check
She's
her out and
hilarious. Yeah.
become a member of the We Do Not Care Club for a good laugh. And but take care of yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, are we gonna do the sign off? Just two of
Oh,
us?
I
I
don't
guess we
know.
kind
You
of
want to
have
try?
to.
Okay. You
All
ready?
right.
Count us down.
Okay, ready? 1, 2.
Monkey chatter, monkey
Monkey chat.
chatter.
Is it
Who
you?
you hang with matters.
I don't know.
Sorry, Amy. We did our
Oh,
best.
peace out.
Peace out, everybody.
Thanks for listening to Monkey Chatter today. As a reminder, we want to let you know that while we think we are really smart, none of us are doctors or medical professionals. So anything that we say or suggest on this podcast should be run by your doctor before you make any major lifestyle, nutrition, or medication changes. Take care and be well, friends.